your attention and ask those of you outside to come in and grab a seat if you can find one. There are some seats over here, so let's at least take advantage of those. I think we're a standing room only crowd, which I'm actually delighted about. Thank you. I think I saw the mayor earlier. Georgia, where did she go?
She was here, Dave.
Okay. And come have a seat, please. Thank you. And we have a new city manager in Lebanon, Dennis Luttrell, who was scheduled to be here. I don't know if he's made it yet, but if he does, I'd like for him to come up as well, because he's going to be an important part of this partnership in bringing River Park to a successful conclusion. "48 years ago, this month, I began my love affair with the Upper Valley, arriving as an 18-year-old freshman student at Dartmouth College. It was a cool morning, a little bit like this, with a hint of fall color, and fog was rising off the Connecticut River, which I had never seen before. It was a far cry from the small town in East Texas that I grew up in. Since then, I married my high school sweetheart, Kathy. I completed my undergraduate education by a hair. And Kathy and I relocated to Cambridge so that we could pursue our graduate education. We started our family in Cambridge. We became involved in local politics, and I discovered my passion for renovating old buildings and creating interesting new places. It is perhaps fitting, today especially, to acknowledge another force in my life, my career path, Yogi Berra.
Oh, yes.
As Yogi so eloquently stated, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Kathy and I have been doing that for 45 years with very few regrets. I have lived in Hanover, Hartford, Norwich, and on Monday, Kathy and I move into the library building at 57 Main Street. I hope you like what we've done with that building. I hope you'll come visit.
Yes.
Our abiding goal for the past 45 years is to respect the character of the community we live in and to make it a better place for families and for our neighbors. We believe in that strongly. Our son Chet and our daughter Jess were educated in the Upper Valley too. They attended grade school, middle school, and high school in the Upper Valley. They discovered the beauty of the outdoors here, the enormous resource of the Connecticut River, and they made lasting friendships. Chet has been a driving force in Lime Properties' commitment to the environment and sustainable architecture. I urge each of you to visit the new website for River Park West Lebanon that he created. That's one of the things his business does. I am at a loss since he's moved away. I can't even get my old VCR to stop blinking. Our daughter Jess married a Lebanon firefighter this past August and will return to the Upper Valley next summer as a pediatrician residing in Lebanon. Why does this matter? What does it have to do with River Park? For me, it's quite simple. Lime Properties cares about West Lebanon, and we are committed to its future. Today, we will unveil the images of the first building for River Park. I hope you like it. But now I'd like to turn the program over to Matt Brown. Matt Brown was the chairman of the Lebanon Planning Board when this odyssey first began. Like many local residents, he's a volunteer that makes the local boards and commissions function. And we all owe a debt of gratitude to those people. Matt?
Thank you, David. As David said, I was the chairman of the Lebanon Planning Board during a rather arduous process of reviewing this application. I distinctly remember the first site visit we took to this parcel and saying, oh my God, this is quite a piece of land, and does it have some enormous potential. So during an almost 3-year process, okay, there were some ups and downs. I'm sure at times it was extremely frustrating for David. It was extremely frustrating for us. But I would like to recognize a few of the people who played a significant role in this. And first of which are my fellow planning board members who put in hours and hours and hours of reviewing this project, coming to appreciate what this project could mean to Lebanon and to West Lebanon. Equally as important were the neighbors and the citizens of Lebanon and West Lebanon, who strongly demonstrated their commitment and endorsement and support for this project. And I would suggest to you that that was a significant factor in the planning board's ultimate approval, knowing that this was a project that the city and the neighbors truly desired. And I would commend David. It was the first time I remember that a developer and an applicant had solicited the opinion of the neighbors and got them involved in the process. And since that time, we've seen it a few other times take place. But David, I think you were the flag bearer for that, and thank you. The neighbors, again, continued to show their support all the way through this. And I do think that they were crucial in the success of this project. Last but certainly not least is Mr. Clem himself, who over those 3 years demonstrated a remarkable capacity for patience, absence of frustration, and perseverance, I guess, is the one thing and that I would take away from it. His perseverance and determination was also part of what made me believe that this project is going to be of enormous benefit to the city of Lebanon. And for that, we thank you, David.
Thank you, Matt. It has been a long process. And it will take a while to build this project out. It is a large project by Upper Valley standards. But if there's one thing I've learned over 45 years of development, quality takes longer and it usually costs more. But it's worth it because it lasts and provides economic development, tax revenue, jobs, and a place that people get excited about in their own neighborhood. I now would like to introduce the governor, and my introduction is going to be quite simple. This project has gone through 5 city managers, it's gone through 3 planning directors, it's gone through multiple changeovers and turnovers along the way, but in the 8 years from the date that we purchased the property, there has been one elected official who picked up the phone and called me and said, "How can I be helpful?" And that's Governor Maggie Hassan. Governor, you don't know how much that meant to me. And she was instrumental in pushing the last element over the line, which is getting the State Department of Transportation to recognize that we didn't want to make Route 10 a 3-lane highway through our neighborhood. Governor?
Well, thank you, David, so much for the introduction, but also for your vision, which is really born out of your roots here and your love for this Upper Valley and this state. To Matthew Brown, thank you for your service, and to all members of current and former and future Lebanon planning boards, and should I say planning boards throughout the state of New Hampshire, thank you for the work you do. We are a state that really is run by and formed by great volunteers, and nowhere is that role as important as it is in our local planning boards. Mayor Tuttle, it is great to be here with you as well. I know we have a number of other elected officials. I think Councilor Kenny was going to try to make it. I haven't seen him yet this morning, but I know he was very excited about this groundbreaking. And I believe Chief Christopoulos is here from the fire department. There you are. Hello. Thank you for everything you do. We are surrounded as well by business leaders and folks from the economic development and planning and conservation communities. And I'm really grateful for everything you do. And we have County Commissioner Mike Cryans here too. Mike, it is great to see you. This is such an exciting development for West Lebanon, for the Upper Valley, and for the entire state of New Hampshire. It's such an innovative development in many ways, but in particular the way it is partnering conservation and development and entrepreneurship is really, really exciting to me, because I just think that that's such a great representative, it's emblematic of our state. It represents a significant investment in our community, in our state, and our economy. First and foremost, it's going to be creating great jobs. It's supporting entrepreneurs. It's keeping innovative, growing companies right here in the Upper Valley. So important to our future as we work so hard to make sure that we have the kind of workforce available for businesses in future years and future generations. It will provide modern housing options, attract visitors to the area, and promotes all of that while conserving our natural resources and really highlighting them. One of the things that makes New Hampshire so distinctive is the fact that we do have a great entrepreneurial spirit, a great economy, but also a really high quality of life driven by our natural resources and our engagement with the geography around us. The development will obviously help benefit our economy, particularly in the life sciences sector and in the retail industry. And the conservation efforts are impressive not only because of what they sustain and maintain our wonderful Connecticut River, but because of the development's commitment to public access to those resources as well. And that really helps us boost our outdoor economy, our outdoor recreation economy. Finally, preserving our natural heritage is really critical, not only to who we are as a state, but also to our capacity to attract people here and build the kind of economy that's here for the long term that we all want so very, very much. I want to support this hard work. I'm working each and every day to expand middle class opportunity and support job creating businesses, really focusing on encouraging innovation, because that's where New Hampshire's unique blend of a highly skilled workforce, absolute devotion to entrepreneurship, and that kind of all hands on deck spirit of wanting to just get things done really marks who we are as an economy. I'm also really focused on attracting and retaining young people to the state of New Hampshire. And I think probably everybody here knows that that really is a demographic challenge for us, and it's a critical economic one. So when I see a project like this, which has so many different factors that will help bring young people here, bring people to come for maybe a little while to work on a particular project and then find out how great the state is, what a wonderful place it is not only to live but to work and to develop and to move forward and to make progress. And lastly, I work very hard as we work to improve our economy and really become the economic leader that New Hampshire can be. We already, by the way, are tied for leading New England in economic growth in our last year. We have the 4th lowest unemployment rate in the country, which is really good, but we can do a lot more and we can do a lot better. And protecting our natural resources is critical to that effort. They go hand in hand with economic development in this state. I'm delighted to be here just about a week after we reached a compromise on a fiscally responsible budget, which includes business tax cuts while safeguarding our future budgets to make sure that we'll be balanced and to make sure that we'll have the resources to invest in critical economic priorities that businesses, families, individuals throughout the Granite State have told me are critical to our future. We're going to continue to work not only in this budget but moving forward to in particular, do the things that are so critical to our economic development, holding down the cost of higher education, supporting projects like this, making sure that we are a safe and healthy state. So right now, more than anything, that means combating our opioid crisis in New Hampshire, which requires all of us to do at all different levels and in all different ways and fronts. It means that we have to continue to fund a community-based mental health system. And it means that we have to continue our commitment to programs like LCHIP so that we can continue to protect this kind of wonderful natural resource while also being smart about the way we develop it for our people and our future. So I am just delighted to be here to congratulate all of you on this development. It reinforces how attractive New Hampshire is and can be for businesses with our high quality of life and our highly skilled workforce, a tax-friendly environment, and a state government that tries to be as responsive to business needs as it can be. And there are a number of folks here from our Department of Resources and Economic Development who just do a great job. If any of you business people in the audience haven't reached out to them, if you've got an idea or a concern, please do, as well as reaching out to me. Maybe I can close with this. You know, my mom taught high school history at the high school I went to, and she always taught me you couldn't understand really history or politics of a place without understanding its geography, because it really does define who we are. And as we stand close to the river in a development that honors that river, it's really important to remember how our geography has shaped all of us. We are a state that blends individualism and community like no place else, because I think we are a state with a pretty rugged geography. The mountains, the rivers, the ocean require us to be pretty strong and rugged individuals, and that's a very, very good thing. Not to mention the fact that we're a state made of granite, so settling this state wasn't particularly easy, right? It took strong people to come here and do it, and we are a strong people to this day. But the thing about this geography is it also means that sometimes you're really going to need a neighbor. And sometimes you know you're really going to need to be a good neighbor. And that's what makes us who we are. And when I listen to the description of how patient David was, but also how persistent and focused the planning board was, it reminds me of the way we blend those characteristics in this state. It reminds me that individuals matter in New Hampshire and they all have something to contribute, whether it's on the job or as volunteers, or whether it's just as citizens participating in a planning process to make a development that was already going to be really good, even better and unique to our state, and one that can truly carry our state forward in so many different ways. So thank you, David. Thank you, Lime Properties. Thanks to everybody here who had a hand in this. This is just going to be a really exciting and wonderful project that represents our state so remarkably well. Thank you.
I am happy to report that for the first time in the gestation period of this project, we are ahead of schedule. I also want to make sure that everyone meets the new city manager of Lebanon, Dennis Luttrell, who had the good fortune of meeting. I hope you will circulate and meet some of these fine neighbors. I think he and I share a commitment to the city and share a commitment for responsible economic development, and I'm excited about that partnership. I also would like to acknowledge Howard Elkus. Howard is an architect from Boston, a very well-known and well-regarded architect, and he has managed to tolerate the Clem family in the design process of our first building. We're not the easiest client to work with, and I hope when we unveil the building elevations, Howard and his team, Jim Burke and others who participated, that you'll talk to him about it in terms of their statement about the importance of this first building and setting the tone in terms of quality, sustainability, all the things that Lime Properties believes in as a company. Governor, I have to say that you summarized the role that each citizen can play and the difference that each citizen can make in their own communities. When we started this process, we spent the first 2 years meeting our neighbors and asking them what they wanted to see on this site. I was reminded by several that that's not the way developers are supposed to work. But that's the way that Lime has always worked. And I can now say, Kathy and I have made a number of new friends who will be our neighbors here in West Lebanon. And it was their participation that informed the master planning of the site, that informed a citizen-initiated rezoning petition that passed 4-1 in West Lebanon and 3-1 citywide. And the takeaway from that entire process, which surprised me, the number one priority of the residents of West Lebanon was access to the Connecticut River. I hadn't really focused on that, candidly, even though I'd spent a lot of time in the Upper Valley, a lot of time driving by the Bailey Brothers building, not even imagining it was 38 acres with a half-mile of river frontage. Didn't know it. And I don't think I'm unique in that regard. There are people who've lived here their entire lives who didn't really realize that. We made a commitment to our neighbors in return for the unbelievable support they gave us. We have had 42 public hearings on this process, and not a single neighborhood resident has spoken in opposition. That has never happened before in my experience as a real estate developer, and I'm proud of that. So to complete that circle, the last part of today's ceremony is about open space. As many of you know, there is a responsibility within the Lebanon zoning ordinance that projects of this size commit 15% of the square footage to open space. Not publicly accessible open space. It couldn't be open space just targeted to the tenants in the complex. In fact, over half of the site is open space in the sense that it meets that zoning definition. But we carved out the 15% along the river frontage. So the entire river frontage will be publicly accessible open space. We have asked the Upper Valley Land Trust to help us, join with us in the stewardship of that resource. And when we file our Mylars, we will restrict in perpetuity any development whatsoever other than recreation along the river. We have also created a new organization. It is now a New Hampshire recognized not-for-profit organization called Friends of River Park. We will transfer title to the open space to this nonprofit, protected with an easement in perpetuity for public access. And because my father-in-law, Kathy's dad, Bob Shelton, was the director of Parks and Recreation in the town we grew up in, we learned the hard lesson that it's easier to create public parks than it is to maintain them. We're going to change that formula. The Clem family is going to make a significant contribution to the Friends of River Park. We are challenging the Lebanon Conservation Commission to match it by taking the penalty fees that we will pay from River Park and taking those portions of the site that have been in current use for a number of years. We have an obligation to pay a penalty when we take it out of current use. And in the city of Lebanon, that goes to the Conservation Commission. And we hope the Conservation Commission will join with us and the citizens of West Lebanon and say this is a unique opportunity for us to recycle that money back into West Lebanon with public access to the river. We're also here today, and I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but we want to challenge TransCanada to do the same. As many of you know, they are going through a relicensing permit as the federal government requires for long-term use of the dam, the Wilder Dam, and they have an obligation to make public sector improvements for the benefit of the area at large. We're asking them to focus on their immediate neighbors in West Lebanon and to make a strong contribution so that the River Park open space can be built creatively and maintained creatively for all of the residents in the area. It is open to the public, not just West Lebanon, but open to the broader public at large. And to that end, Lime has sponsored a landscape design competition for the open space on this parcel. 5 landscape firms on Saturday, starting at 10 in the morning, will be making their presentations at the Wilder Center, another little rehab project we did across the way. All of their presentation boards are currently in the Kilton Library in West Lebanon in the community room, and I urge all of the area residents to take time and visit that. We're asking for your feedback. And on Saturday, that's also open to the public. It's a long day, but if you look at the library and see the 1 or 2 proposals that you're keenly interested in, we've published the schedule on the website. Come listen to those designers present their vision for open space on the river. We will have a professional design jury of peers and educated colleagues interested in design and open space who will make the final determination of the winner. But I invite you to do that. We will make this commitment to open space so that it's available to the public the same time that the first building opens, which we hope is January 1 of 2017. So without further ado, and because we're all freezing here in the shade, I would invite the governor and Matt and the mayor and the city manager to join me in front in the sunshine so that we can unveil the elevations of the new building designed by Howard Elkins. Thank you. Please. You're welcome. Howard, thank you.